Welcome to the Outer Realm with Michelle Desrochers and Amelia Pisano. Airing live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday night segment of the Outer Realm, episode technically 401, last episode of 2024. We are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network, UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 out on the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM from New Orleans. We're fully sponsored by the amazing people over at Folgers Coffee who've been a part of our journey since the very beginning. Thank you, Folgers. It wouldn't be the same without you. Also, big thank you to Justin Snicker, aka Dr. Snick, the Sonic Surgeon, an award-winning composer of Halloween horror, sci-fi, and dark wave electronic music, which can be found on all of your favorite music platforms. And he is the voice and the music that you just heard for the intro. So, also, big thank you, Steve McGinnis, the artist behind all of our banners and logos here at the show. Check him out on Facebook and Instagram. Also specializes in the horror genre and can do pretty much anything, and he does it very well. So, tonight we celebrate our 400th episode from last night.
The 401.
I know. Can you believe it already?
No.
Oh my God.
It feels like yesterday I was driving to the station and I just remember hearing about the, the thing that happened to all of us. I remember hearing about that, and I remember you and I going, it can't, no. Remember we were just like throwing it back and forth. But anyways, thinking, holy crap, what are we going to do?
So. I know. Well, we can do just about anything. Thank you, Kathy. Yeah.
Well, we did it.
I know. And thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Yes.
You've been here for all of that. Thank you, Jonathan.
I know. I know. This is just awesome, is seeing some of these familiar faces that have been with us on this journey.
Yes.
We've been really fortunate. Our listeners have pretty much followed us through every step, and it's been one heck of a ride. We've really been having a good time doing the show, and I mean, you and I have a good time, but it's so nice when we thank you. It's so nice when we can have all of these amazing people give us their time and come on and educate us as well as all of our listeners. And, we've had some pretty memorable ones, to say the least. Some have left us speechless. Some have really left us speechless. Like, did you just seriously say that? Kind of speechless.
Yeah. It's been, thanks, Alex. It's been insane, but it flew by. And hopefully the next 400 will be just as great.
Hopefully. What did you say to me? Yeah.
No, meaning we have this audience still here with us in the next few years. And we're grateful to Folgers, of course. And, Wayne, I think Mercury. I'm losing it. Literally this week, I don't even know what day it is. I only know because we're doing a show. But I honestly, because of Christmas, my mind is mush. I'm still recovering.
Food coma?
I'm recovering.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
But, family get-togethers, they're happy, they're great, but they take a little bit out of you, I think, sometimes too.
I think they could take a lot out of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
They
But
really
they're
can. They really
yeah.
can, you know. Um, I'm still a bit recovering a little bit from the show we had last night, which I thought was
Oh my
fabulous.
It was really good. And
Yeah.
this is a guest I didn't research. And sometimes I don't research a guest. I research a little bit about them, in respect to their bio and things like that. But
Mhm.
I will not, some guests I will not listen to in an interview because, especially if I'm not quite versed in it, I love to have the natural raw questions as like an audience member kind of thing on the
That's
side of it. I love learning.
yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I don't. Most times, I mean, we spend hours a week researching the
Mm.
guest, the topic matter, but with him, I wanted it to be raw. I wanted it to be very, how can I put this without sounding stupid? Not virgin-like, but you know what I mean, like real fresh
Mhm.
and just right from, you know,
Mm.
pure curiosity, like, and wanting to know. I didn't he tu Alex tunes out with a lot of guests. No. I'm just saying with him, I didn't do the research because I wanted it to be real and fresh.
I'm fortunate because I've worked with frequencies for a lot of years. I mean,
Yeah,
it's helped me as well. I've always, loved music, and I love learning about the tones and things of that nature. But I don't play an instrument, which is pretty funny. I've had mediums say, "You should play piano." And I've had, my kids have picked it up without any issues at all, like
I
almost by
played.
ear.
Yeah.
But I love frequency. And it's funny because I came across something today. I actually sent this off to somebody I know, um, which is about the 11th harmonic
Mhm.
tone. And it says the ancients used sound to heal, which we know, right? And in Malta, at the oldest underground temple in the world, there's a room called the Oracle Chamber designed. I'm just reading this, people.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just like I'm not looking at it because I'm just reading it. The Oracle Chamber, which is designed to vibrate sound at 11 hertz or 111 hertz, I think is what it says. I have to actually look at that. That's, yeah, 111 hertz, which scientists now know kills, I'm going to say the big C cells, because I don't want to be flagged
Yeah,
for
yeah.
misinformation. The big
No.
C cells using the powers of the 11th harmonic. And they were doing this way back in the day. And now people are getting on board with it. Academia is getting on board with it, saying, yeah, it can heal you in different ways. So, I love to end off our year like this week. I thought that is a really good way to heal over a time, because I mean, Christmas, the holidays are great for some people and not so great from others, and others don't celebrate. A lot of people have had losses, the last year or two or three, and now, you know, it's a way of just sort of bringing people out of it. For me, I find it very comforting. I listen to many different frequencies. Over the years, I've worked with people who have recommended frequencies, some for grieving, some for healing, for many different ways,
Yeah.
consciousness, soul energy, physical.
Meditation is what I use it for.
Yeah.
But
Oh, it's
everyone
great
in the
for it.
audience, even if you don't know what frequency is, and if you tuned in yesterday,
Mm.
it's with your music that you listen to, regardless of what genre.
It's all in there,
It's
different
all
tones.
there. Ultrasounds,
Yeah.
ultrasound therapy, uh, things like that. It's all part of it. I've always loved music as well, and I sang for a long time. I've played flute and piano. But it's so soothing for me. Like we were talking about the binaural yesterday,
Yeah.
the doo, 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 that kind of thing for
Mhm.
meditation. But what I really, really love and can do for hours is sound baths with the
Mhm.
bowls. Oh
Yeah.
my God. You can throw me in somewhere and I'll just like lose myself in it.
Right.
And
Right.
that's how I feel when I'm on the beach. You say, I can't stay on the beach. The beach, it's the shore, it's the, the water
The
waves,
waves and the
it's the
waves. Yeah.
winds,
Yeah.
It's the birds, it's that. Close my eyes and I'm like,
Wayne.
I always have
You
to go to
can
the
see
kitchen.
how often I go to the cupboard for snacky bits.
Snacky
Oh my
bits.
God.
Oh,
He
just the
does.
cupboard, not
He
the
does.
fridge.
Oh my God. I know. It's funny.
Yeah,
I
I don't
find
know.
Tamara says the cello helps with grief, sadness, and depression.
Cello is
Cello.
my favorite instrument. It's my favorite music. I've said it before. People are really shocked when they hear that from me because I'm playing Led Zeppelin on our stories and I'm playing, like I can go from that to Swifty in a heartbeat. Music is music. I don't care if it's pop, if it's rock, if it's, metal, heavy metal. I don't care if it's opera, symphonies, all that stuff. Cello is so soothing, and you'll find a lot of people who paint, who cook, chefs, artists will have that playing in the background. And believe it or not, the Gregorian chants and opera.
I love
Those are the three things that are playing in the background.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
You can ask
feel-good
them that and they'll
music,
tell you
and
that.
I think, we in our soul, our energy resonates with certain energies depending on how we feel.
Yeah.
I think when you're cooking, on an average, not me, because I don't really like to cook, but for those who love to cook, such as Amelia, I think you play something like that and it just resonates with you. It's a feel good sort of
Yeah,
thing.
it
A
fits in with
creative
the
thing,
whole, yeah,
right?
it fits in with the therapeutic, chopping, and I
Yeah.
have all the toys, but I prefer to do things by hand. Why? Because it's therapeutic, it's repetitive, and that helps to calm everything down as well. I
Right.
paint too.
Yeah.
Love painting, right? Even if you don't have to be great at painting. Art is in the eye, of the beholder. The sweet sound of cooking. Yes, those onions and garlic going.
Yeah. That's a
Yeah.
whole frequency in itself. But
Yeah, it is.
but
And it goes to all the senses.
I just love the diversity. One thing this show, I hope for everybody, has shown is that there is diversity. People have, forever has known me for paranormal. I think that's all I want to talk about. No, no. I think I'm not talked out because I still do a lot of other people's shows, but I love to learn new things, and that's what I'm learning. So when people contact me, or if I'm researching potential guests, that's a learning thing that I think to myself, I'd really like to learn more about that. So y'all have to realize that if I think I should learn it, I think you should all learn it too.
Yeah, she'll put it on. She'll put them on the shelf.
It's true. BK Bubbles is what we're learning this week. She's like, what? Yeah.
Wait, I have a
It'll be
long
great.
living room to paint. Feel free to assist if you enjoy. I actually really do like painting houses. I'm very good at it. Carpenter's daughter, Wayne.
Yeah.
Give me a hammer, a nail, screwdriver, a paintbrush. Yeah. No saw. No upper body strength whatsoever. An electric, you should never trust me with an electric saw. Never.
Oh, goodness.
I just think they're too much fun. It's like a horror.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Yeah,
But
you don't want to trust me with that.
but yeah, I think that I love learning new things, and I think this show has become a platform like many others, like we're very proud of the show. I think it's come such a long way. I mean, we end up with a fantastic sponsor, like Folgers, and who watch the show, by the way, which is very complimentary. They were our first sponsor. Then Dr. Snick and Steve McGinnis, but it was really, really nice to be like, to have, like, it's flattering. Thinking we must be doing something right because you have this big company who's interested in what we do. Oh, hold on here. Welcome. Where are you from?
Oh,
Where are you
nice.
watching from? Yeah, welcome.
Thank you for joining us.
There we go. Fun to learn new things at any age. I'm always learning. I'm just a big nerd that way.
There's no age limit on
No,
learning. You should make it a habit of learning not just one thing, but a few things every day.
I know.
Um,
Oh, from
I think,
Dublin. Oh, you're up late. Thank you
oof,
for tuning
yes,
in. You're a diehard. It's like what, 2:25 a.m. over there.
yeah.
Wow, fantastic.
Dublin
Now
reminds
I
me of the Peaky Blinders. Not that you have any association with it. I just watched that series recently. I loved it.
so guys, if there's anything specific you want to chime in on, just put it up in the chat room and we can. It's open mic. So let's talk
Yeah.
about experiences. Let's talk about all kinds of fun things. You know.
What you want to, is there anything we haven't covered that you'd like us to
Ooh,
in the
yeah,
new year? I mean, a
yeah.
lot of bookings are done, but there's always room. So let us know.
Well, we've got the first 2 months of the year, and believe me, we have to purposely stop there. We can keep going. I mean, don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, we have bookings throughout probably every month, but we're only talking. We don't go much more than 8 weeks for the most part. We try, but we do have guests coming on. For example, next week, guys, we have a pet medium coming on.
I
know.
think this audience is going to really enjoy
I
her.
think so.
It's a nice light way to come into the new year.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
we also have another guest who's going to be coming on a few different episodes from Sedona, and he does all kinds. He's pretty much like the authority over there, and he's going to be talking about UFOs. There'll be another segment where he's going to talk about the Sedona vortex. There'll be another episode where he talks about all the paranormal stuff. Like there's that much that goes on in Sedona. We have Michael LaFlamme is going to come on and talk about Atlantis, and he's his research on that. There's just all kinds. Paul Wallace is going to talk about Eden.
ooh.
I know.
I'm curious, how many of you listening, you have to be in chat obviously to answer me, watch American Horror Story? I'm asking you this for a reason. Just let me know.
Mhm.
I'm curious. Have you ever seen it, Michelle?
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, I watched the first few, then I kind of got bored. I really did. I found it boring.
That's what I want.
Yeah,
Because
I
I
just
hear
for
so much
me
hype
anyway.
about it, and when they put Kim K on it, I thought, "Oh, this is going in the wrong direction."
Yes,
Yeah, Alex, I watched the first season too. I couldn't get past it. I couldn't. That Bates Motel. I couldn't do
I
any
made
of
it
it.
for 3. Then I kind of went.
Jade, we're open mic at least once a month.
Yes,
Yeah,
the
we're open
Q&As,
mic once a
open
month.
mics will continue on for the most part once a month. They're already scheduled.
Yeah.
And yes, we talk about paranormal all the time. We have a lot of guests who come on and talk about the paranormal as well. So there's a whole range of things. And Wayne, I want to know why my room has a burning electric smell late at night and not all the time. I've checked everything. All is good. Is it paranormal ET government? Yeah, right. Who knows? Chime in if anybody knows.
I don't know, because there's scents that I smell, and I'm the only one in the house that can smell them, and I don't know if I have a tumor.
I've had smells. I've had that smell as well that he's talking about.
Yeah, I smell all kinds of things. I smell gas, I can smell burning wires, and it happens a lot in my bedroom, and I think, "Oh, I have my mom's lamps, like they're from the 50s, and I think, oh, it's just that,
Hmm.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I know. You just don't know. I mean, smells, you have different spirits that come in that represent different smells. And ET, you have different smells.
No, I'm not smelling ET.
But sometimes you're not meant to, hey, Brian, you're not meant to know everything.
I'm not smelling ET. This is wires.
I'm not talking about, yeah. Well, some of it's almost like ozone-y. And when you don't have a you get that when you have thunderstorms. and lightning and stuff, you will get that. But when you don't have that, it's kind of like, you know.
Yeah, right now that's a tough one. That's a good point, Michelle. If you eat too many burritos, you have a
me
plethora
out.
of smells. Alex, they're putting fat bastard next to my house.
Spiritual smell. Yeah, it could be sensitive. Yeah, possibly. Yes. We definitely know of Zach Bagans.
Oh, definitely. He's
very
American.
popular this side of the world.
Yeah, he's
absolutely.
American.
Yep. But
so any spooky things happen during Christmas to you or to anybody?
Grandfather's pipe a lot. Yeah,
Yeah, that's very much a visitation.
Wayne as well actually has stories of his father's. Well, for him, it's his father's pipe.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anybody have any interesting Christmas stories at school?
I smell my grandfather's cigarettes, and the Italian cigarettes have a distinct odor, like American cigarettes over Canadian cigarettes. There's a distinct odor. And I can smell that so often, but it's always outside, and it makes so much sense because he did a lot of farming
Only
in
outside
the Grove. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, every now and then.
But that's really distinctive. You can't say somebody's smoking in the backyard. And well, I don't have anybody out here.
Right.
But I get wood stove smell as my grandfather. Oh, that's nice.
But I think loved ones will project a smell that you will find familiar, because that's a validation, of their presence for you that you can relate to.
Absolutely.
I mean, sometimes you'll have the same spirit individual, but will have different scents for different people.
It's to validate that it's them too, because I was a smoker the last time I had seen him. And I remember him offering me a cigarette. Italian men are very, very smooth.
Right.
Even nonos are smooth.
Right.
And like your cigarette. They're all trained. It's like they're born with that gentleman,
Yes.
I don't know. But anyways, I remember and going like just cacking on it.
Right.
And of course that would be the first thing, because I can see him. So that would be the first thing for me. So always think about how that smell. Like when you think, oh, it's my grandfather or it's my father, but what's the memory that comes to your mind the strongest? Because that's what they're trying to remind you of. Like, hey, remember this moment, or live in this moment.
Right.
Remind yourself, because maybe you're down and they're just trying to get a message across to you.
Right.
Oh,
I
Rose,
agree.
have my hair touched a lot by something I cannot see.
And who do you think that might be, Rose? Is this somebody you know, or do you live in a haunted house? How does it make you feel? No, some people get wigged out.
No,
other people are like very comfortable with that,
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I'd be fine if my mother would fix my bangs right now. Alex, I can't smell anything, or at least anything that I've recognized. No, but your daughter does. We've already done that. My husband comes through with the smell of rosemary. I can sometimes taste it. He loved the smell of rosemary. Kathy Hanley Little, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah,
that's a beautiful thing, isn't it?
I get wigged out.
Well, if you get wigged out, just ask it to stop.
Yes.
If it's a loved one, they won't do it.
A good spirit will usually respect your boundaries. Yeah. Spirits that, I won't even say necessarily bad spirits, won't listen. I think sometimes desperate spirits can also feel that way, because they just want to get attention, and they want to relay a message so desperate. They don't realize not everybody can pick up on their presence. And if it's the spirit of a child or a trickster, maybe that's just it. They like wigging you out as well, So
Brian says that happens.
Oh yeah, tell me about it. I've been to that house. If it's the same house.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
It doesn't bother me. I don't know. It doesn't bother me. I get pinched a lot too, but I know it's my mom. I think that's why it doesn't bother me, because I know who's doing it.
Right.
When you don't know, but like Michelle said, just say, please stop. It's really uncomfortable.
Right. Right. It's all you can do really, and just hope that they will respect boundaries. Some people don't mind having spirits in their home, but they do mind, the constant energy, or the constant touching, or the constant
Oh,
sense of
like
being
an
watched.
unwanted guest.
Yeah, just pretty much,
Yeah.
but they don't mind them being there. I think sometimes you just have to set boundaries, especially with children. It's really important just to teach them how to set some boundaries, and to communicate thoroughly with them, so they don't feel silly. So they feel safe in coming to you and saying, this is what's happening to me. Because sometimes you've heard me, I mean, say it a million times, and you've heard Amelia and I talk about this often. But sometimes it's parents. We as parents tend to not take children seriously, and they feel silly. You're saying, don't be silly. There's no such thing as imaginary friends. Well, let me tell you what. Yes, there are.
Yeah, they are.
Yes,
And
there
they're
are.
not so imaginary.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Have you ever heard of Annabelle the doll? Yes, I've actually met Annabelle. She's quite a character, and I'll leave it there.
Yeah, not something I suggest visiting. It's just
No,
me.
it's
Especially if you're creeped out with your hair being touched, you might want to stand
yeah.
clear of
Oh
any
yeah.
visits she's doing to the UK and to
Yes.
Ireland.
Def
I
it
don't
was
know what Tony has planned.
definitely an experience.
Yeah.
The Warren Museum is definitely an
Well,
experience in
he's
itself.
traveled with that doll a few times, so, I mean, I don't know if he has any intentions of going that way.
Yeah. Oh,
Mm.
absolutely. You want to get that?
Oh,
Want me
I
to get
didn't know
that?
if you
Okay.
wanted to.
Whatever. Yeah.
Okay. Wayne says, my father smoked a pipe. The aroma was very pleasing. One night I was driving in a storm and sorry, it went up. One night I was driving in a storm and was so tired. All of a sudden, the car was filled with that aroma, snapped me awake real quick. That's a beautiful thing.
Very
Saved your
beautiful.
life. Yeah. Hi, Jade. Says, my daughter has been trying to conceive for 5 years. I had her put a special sachet under the mattress 4 months ago, and baby is on the way. Congratulations.
I love it.
Yay.
I love
Does
it.
she know you're telling all of us? That is a beautiful Christmas present. God bless. Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yeah. The
Beautiful.
Italians believe in stuff like that too. They'll often put saints or scapulas under the pillows.
Mm. Yeah.
You don't see letters and numbers or dream. Oh, Sen says, oh, sorry. The smell the smell stayed with me all the way home and didn't stop until I was driving because it was making sure you were safe.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Tamara says spirit and visitation is different from living with grounded ghosts. Grounded ghosts are not good for your health, from my experience. No,
Mm.
not good for your
Well,
mind.
grounded ghosts, yeah, they do have the potential, because it's been shown. I'll get back to this. It's been
Yeah.
shown with grounded spirits that obviously you're still here with your earthly hangups. But let's say it depends why you're grounded. If you're grounded because you have a message you want to deliver, or you're lost, then those are a little bit easier to deal with. You have some grounded spirits that are stuck here because they're held hostage, maybe by an attachment or something else that's a stronger presence within the space. Then you have some spirits who they're just confused, they're there.
Mhm.
And if you've got, let's say you've got a spirit that was an alcoholic in life, well, there have been a lot of different researchers that have worked with people who started exhibiting those same, let's say, addictions. So let's say the male of the house was an alcoholic and a drinker, then the living male in the house would start picking up drinking all of a sudden, or those attributes are coming in. So yeah, they it can definitely be a hairy experience, to say the least. Okay, now we can come back to this one. This one's for you, Bubbles.
Okay. Hi, son. Oh, last night Amelia mentioned you don't see letters or numbers in dreams. Well, last time, yeah. Last night you had a dream, but I do all the time. I find it interesting how the ways you can confirm you're in a dream versus reality are very different for various people. You're probably traveling because the brain doesn't read numbers unless they're given to you from someone. That's usually a message if it's given to you. I don't know how that's just a psychological fact. Like I'm really out of it today. It's a fact. So if you're seeing them, you're definitely there's a reality going on somewhere if you can read numbers straight. So yeah,
pay attention.
that could be a message. That could be you're traveling. You got this one.
Are you going to have any channelers on in the future? I actually know of a couple, and if there is a request, I'm happy to delve into it because Amelia and I are always thrilled to have people who do different things. Channeling is kind of wiggy for me because honestly, for me, channeling is considered to be a form of
possession.
Now, there are different types of channeling, from what I understand. There is, when you're in a seance and you're allowing a spirit to speak through you. But some people call, like maybe visiting or tapping in, for example, a form of channeling as well. So I think we have to, I guess we have to determine what type of channeling they do and sort of go from there, right?
Yeah. I'm not a fan of it in the sense of I think that if you want to see a channeler or be around them, it should be in person. I'm not keen on it being over the airwaves. I think that's just way too much energy being pumped that way with 3 million people listening.
Yeah, so that's something that we would have to see what the limitations are because people really who watch the show, again, we're thrilled and we want everybody to learn something.
Yeah.
So I think if we could find somebody who could come on and talk about the serious repercussions of it as well, then
but
it might be
actually doing it, right?
to do. Is Annabelle dangerous? Apparently, yes. Apparently, she's dangerous.
They say if you doubt it, you'll encourage her to hurt you if you let her.
Let's put it this way. I don't think you want to go visit and poke the bear kind of thing. I know that Tony Spira and his team do have events. I know they have a big paranormal conference that comes up every year as well. And you can, if I'm not mistaken, you can see her on display, but she's always under lock and key and you don't get to just go touch her.
I don't think she's been overseas though, has she?
I don't know that she has been overseas.
In Ireland,
no. So you'd almost have to.
I don't think so.
This side of the world, and
I wouldn't want to be on the same plane. I can tell you that, and I'm not superstitious.
Yeah, well, I've stood next to Annabelle, and it's definitely an energy to be reckoned with. Let's put it that way.
And if you're not familiar with how to recognize that, I think it would be tough at the museum because everything in there is haunted. Yeah, I'm not even going to say that. Because I feel violated because I made it. But I didn't make it do that. That's Michelle. That's on Michelle.
It's the only way he wants to stay up, honestly. Otherwise,
you want me to put a pipe cleaner? If you put a pipe cleaner up his bottom, like a thick pipe cleaner or a pole, you can put it through the stitches and right through the stuffing.
Okay, so we're
I just didn't think we'd be posing.
He likes his chair, and I've had no problems with Alex. Yeah. Don't dirty him up.
Yeah, I didn't.
Don't dirty up the alien. Okay, here's another one.
Sun Dragon says if I pick up a book in dreams, I can read it, see a street sign, and I can read it, a clock, no problem. Write it all down. There's messages you're missing. Write them all down.
Yeah.
When you wake up, I always say to people, when you get messages in your dreams and you wake up, make sure you have a pad, a notepad, or a piece of paper and a pen next to you on your nightstand. Do not jump out of bed. Take it slow, because your subconscious mind will go back and your conscious mind comes forward and you won't remember squat.
There we
This is
go.
how you remember dreams, and putting them together can take time. It doesn't always come in one dream.
Mhm.
Sometimes it takes a few dreams to get a message. Sometimes it could take months. But write these things down,
Yeah,
because
because
you're
sometimes
missing out
dreams are
on
not
it.
always what they seem either. You get
No.
into dream interpretation, you have to break a dream down section by
Oof.
section. You write it down and go section by section. Don't just take a generic, "Oh, this is what it is," and
Yeah.
assume this is what it is.
And don't assume that the clock is time.
Yeah,
Clock can be a month.
yeah.
If you look outside and there's snow and it says 11, it could just mean that this is November.
There's so much to that, but
Yeah.
it is really fascinating.
Mhm.
Guardian, hi. Bubbles.
Oh, sorry. Hi, Guardian. It bothers me with all the paranormal ghost hunter shows that very few help spirits cross over.
Go get him, Bubbles.
Me too. Me
That one
too.
of her
And
pet peeves.
I've
Yeah.
had to bite my tongue with guests, because I try not to disrespect a guest. I do everything I can not to push my opinion on anyone, but there's some people who feel that it's not their place to interfere, and there's those of us who feel it's very much our place to interfere and help guide them, because I'll tell you something, if it was my kid, I'd want someone to help her. I wouldn't want my child stuck here.
That's
So
a big
there's
part
different
of
ways
it.
to think about it, and it doesn't have to be a child. A mother or a parent or a guardian is always a parent or a guardian, no matter how old that child is when they pass.
Yeah, so maybe chime in on that, guys. What are your thoughts? Because I'm of the same mind as Amelia, and it's very difficult to um watch a spirit. If they want to stay and they're happy, that's their prerogative. I think they should have
Yeah.
a choice. Sometimes they're grounded, they're fully aware that they're deceased, but if they're aware that they're deceased and they're afraid that they can't come back or they just don't want to leave,
Okay.
ascending them or moving them to the next realm, they can still come back. They just
I,
leave all of their earthly hang-ups behind. So it's a more enjoyable experience and they can still be there. The manor had a spirit family that
many
wasn't stuck and they visited all the
all
time. They
the
were
time.
very
Still
they were
there.
yeah, they were
Yeah.
helpful. They were happy to be there. But you know, there are a lot of researchers I find, and maybe this is for television because I think now there's so many, and I know because I've done it and I've been asked, do you have any locations? And it's like, look, you know, there are places that want to do this or researchers who want there to be on television and they won't pass people on because
I
then
wonder,
you have left to research if you have a really active house.
what does that do to your karma? Can I tell a story
Yes.
with this?
Yes.
You know this story.
Yes.
Okay. Here's a story, and it goes based on mindset and belief before you pass away. So in my culture, if you're praying to the spirit to help take care of everyone here before they've crossed, they can be stuck. They will, feel that need to come back because that's what they're supposed to do. So fast forward, I don't know how many years after my grandmother passed away, I had to cross my grandmother over. Never met the woman. She
Mm.
was here, she was creating noise, never havoc, just I was a little bit afraid. And I have my grandmother's doll just right next to me. And because when I was living at home, it was different. It was a smaller house. I didn't really hear anything, like I didn't move her, but I kind of moved her with me because my
Right.
mom was always praying, please watch over her, please watch over her. And I was like, guys, stop. So
Don't
had
do
to
it.
cross her over and
Right.
then said, Nona, you're welcome to come back whenever you want. And she does. She'll show up with my grandfather sometimes, and I never knew her in my lifetime. She passed away 2 years before I was born. So, yeah, I would
I
be
find
I'm devastated if, and I know that someone knew she was grounded. We won't get into that side of it because my gifts come from that side of the family.
right.
So someone knew she was grounded and didn't cross her over, and that made it even more difficult for me. But
That
I
makes
did
it
it.
hard because then it's very personal.
I
But
was
I also
angry.
like your
Yeah.
story of the little girl because it goes to
Elizabeth?
show sometimes that life gets
No.
busy. Sometimes you don't really think about it.
I didn't know Elizabeth was stuck because I didn't see her.
Why don't you
I
tell the
saw her in
story
class.
of Elizabeth, who she
Elizabeth
was?
belongs to a chair. She doesn't belong to a chair. It was her chair when she was little. I have an antique chair that was gifted to me by my father's boss's wife. They just happened to own the Four Seasons hotels. And they never had a girl. So I often was the receiver of these amazing antiques that Mrs. Sharp, Rosalie Sharp, would collect. And she was an interior decorator, and her whole home was done in antiques. So she gave me this chair. I was probably 17 or 18 when I got it, never really noticed. My house was always active, never really understood it, just knew that I could see things. And then when I moved here, there was a pissed off spirit in this house, a very pissed off spirit. And another thing that goes with this story is Elizabeth, the name Elizabeth follows me throughout my life in different ways with guides, my aunt. There's just so many past lives. That name comes up a lot. But she was 11 years old. And if I didn't pay attention, good Lord Almighty, it was not going to be nice. I remember the dog being able to see her before I could. Now he probably would sense her, but now she's crossed over. And I never thought of crossing her over because I didn't think she was stuck. I just thought she was pissed off. And she would take I would watch the slats of, you remember the old Venetian blinds, the metal ones? I would watch those things slide out and be flung across the room in front of me. And I remember John taking the chair out and putting it in the garage because one of my friends says, you need to move that chair. She's like she's just ridiculous. This is going on. She's being, she was becoming violent with her energy, pulling the dog's ear, pulling the dog's tail. Savarina had the keyboard, electric keyboard wasn't even plugged in, and it would play, like stuff was happening, and it was just insane. And when he moved that chair into the garage, which is not attached to my house, it got worse. It didn't get better. It got worse. It got like, all of a sudden there's scratches, there's pushing, like all this other stuff is happening. So Michelle's like, well, you need to cross her over. I'm like, what? I'm a medium. I crossed my grandmother over. Do you think it occurred to me that she needed to be crossed over? Not once. No, Elizabeth was not a happy camper. Elizabeth was fine until we moved here.
Why do you think? Like, what was?
Well, I think there's a
the
lot that
change?
was here. I mean, I had to have my house blessed, and a priest wouldn't even come in here. Yeah, I think it was being surrounded by energy of soldiers. Some not the ones from here. This is the War of 1812. And I think a lot of that and whatever was attached to this property, there's a lot of blood in the land. I had to do a lot of work with the chief that spiritually this property belongs to. I do have a plaque outside that thanks him for allowing us to be here. We've planted many, 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 many trees. There's trees all over my house. You have to give back.
Yes.
I did a lot of research with that, and I think that irritated her demons as well. And then having a child, I wasn't as attentive with her. But there was a long time I didn't even know there was a her. until I moved here.
Right.
So
Right. So she was quiet up
I was
until.
quiet until we moved
Yeah.
here. I didn't even know, but I just thought when I was hearing things, and at first, because we cleared it that it was my grandmother and all this other stuff, but it continued. And it just didn't make sense. And then it started affecting everybody.
Right.
And that's when you have to do something about it. You can't live like that.
No.
Elizabeth wasn't afraid of the new house. Elizabeth was tough.
Yeah.
She was tough. That 11-year-old spirit was like dealing with a grown ass man. There was more than just Elizabeth there.
Right. Right. Okay, Wayne.
Wayne says, here's working comparison for that. If you were walking past a burning house and you notice a child pleading for help, would you leave that child and take video or recordings, or would you help? That's a good question nowadays. I've seen mothers videotape their kids in really dire circumstances. I'm mocking it. I'm mocking it. Absolutely, you're going to save them, and that's a great way of putting it. You know. Elizabeth. Oh my gosh, now you got me. Probably see her later.
Okay, Jades.
Just as I get a lot of cantankerous old men. I don't know if I pull them more than most. Perhaps it's daddy issues. Mine passed when I was a little girl. Any suggestions? That's Michelle answering that one.
Well, I mean, I think you're a beacon and you're going to attract. I think you attract all kinds. Maybe these are the ones, that you notice more. I mean, if your dad passed when you were a little girl, was he aware? Like, is he ascended? Maybe you're just really extra beautiful and they like you. So, like sometimes there's just something about a person's energy that attracts a certain type of individual in life, not just in death. I mean, they're spirit people any way you look at it, So that's a really tough one. I just think it's very
yeah.
I think it just has something to do with your energy per se. I mean, if he passed, did you feel like do you have any resolution? Maybe it's about resolution. Maybe you are pulling them in to try and resolve that. Amelia, what are your thoughts on it?
Same. That one's a tough one unless you're communicating with them. I always wonder why I see children before I see adults. And I had a mentor who would say to me, you're like the goddess of children. You can reel them in and bring them in from anywhere. Sometimes I think it's just the gift that you're given.
Maybe you're meant to help them.
Yeah, in that way.
Yeah.
Good thing you can finish my sentences.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a really tough question. There are people who children spirit gravitate to them, because maybe it's because they're just that mother figure that they feel safe with. Maybe your free spirit they just feel a little bit of angst when they see your belief system. Because back in the day, especially to the older spirits, they were God-fearing people. That was the belief system, the prevalent belief system, in certain parts of the world and the New World especially. So that people come over to this side of the world, they bring that whole belief system and traditional stuff with them. So I don't know. I mean, if they're aware, they're aware, and there's just thing that's going to aggravate them. I've had spirits completely irritated just with the color of my hair because you're dealing. Well, yeah. Can you imagine your old world spirits?
It's a different time, so
very generic, right? And here I come in with flaming red hair,
mermaid. Yeah, I think that's a big one too. I love children. Like human I love children. If there are children in a room, you're going to find me with them, not so much
right
adults. So I think that's just part of who I am, and they recognize it. That's all.
Yeah.
And that's why, because I honestly, if I go, say I walk into a room, as you're telling me there's a room of spirits, they will be the first ones I pick out and pull forward will be those babies.
Yeah, I think, you know what? I feel that spirits are, depending on what era they're from.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even tattoos, even
Yeah.
tattoos, like, what is this? Sometimes you're curious by them. Sometimes they're just what is this? People who had tattoos were usually like criminals or heathens, but
In their
as they will
time,
call them.
yeah.
Yeah, in their
But
time.
military too. Sailors got tattoos.
Right. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah,
So,
the Navy.
but yeah, the hair is a bit, I've had spirits be very curious, like they touch it.
I think that's happened even on the box once with your hair.
But I have touched my
I
hair, I
think it
know.
has happened where they've mentioned it.
I know. I know. What
It's
is
vibrant. It's a lot more vibrant than what you're seeing there. It's beautiful. It's hers. It
very
suits her so much. Very much Michelle's signature. It's stunning.
I
But
know.
yeah,
So much so I've thought about just changing it up completely. Yeah, spot me in a crowd, in a grocery store, and I have a story.
That's who
I'm
you
doing
are.
groceries with my family.
It's who
Okay,
you
I'll hear
are.
it. All right, I'll listen.
Yeah, it's who you are.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
yeah.
like even Cyndi Lauper had a signature hair
Yeah.
for a long time,
It's
and
true.
she still goes to the Reds.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's fair. People used to ask about tattoos. Yep, it's true.
I
It's true.
believe that. They
They
probably
loved it.
wonder why and what is it, especially from the Victorian era, right? Because the
They
wars,
were.
the tattoos in the Navy came, I think, after the World War II,
Yeah.
not the First World War. But I
No.
think it was, or maybe Vietnam, maybe not even World War II. Maybe it was Vietnam and
Yeah.
Korea, like those
I
wars
think
that
it
brought.
goes way back because I mean it's a tribal thing as well. It goes
No,
back
I know, but
into
not with white
ancient times,
America.
but this side of the
Yeah,
world, it would have been,
yeah, like white
pretty
America.
new.
I think it would have been later.
Yeah. I think there's just many reasons why spirits are attracted to people, and again, I think some of it is lifestyle. It's just if it's something they're not accustomed to or their belief system doesn't agree with it,
Mhm.
they're going to be a bit cranky with you, or some might be the opposite and gravitate to you because of it, depending on when it's happening. So she says, my dad's one of my guides. I think you're onto something. My belief systems, they are curious but present, irritable at first. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. They just have to get an understanding. I think as irritating as it could be, it's important that I always try to understand where what time period I'm dealing with and what their belief system might have been like. What was it like where they lived, small town mentality, things like that. Like there's just so many things to take into consideration. You have to take into consideration as much as you would if they were living people,
Mhm.
So
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
I wonder sometimes when we talk dimensional and things like that, are we
Mhm.
interfering? I can understand where some people would look at it that way.
Mhm.
Are we pulling them out of their dimensional space and moving them where they shouldn't be? I can understand that part of it, but I can't handle. Like Tamara mentioned how she sees ascended in color and grounded black and white, which is very much how I see them. So that's how I can tell. So I think you need to know, you know, what, like, the difference.
Mhm. Right.
But and sometimes they could have an attachment and can't move.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
That's a big one. I mean, how do you know?
Well,
Right? How do you
by
know?
what happens to you when you try?
I know. I
Do you
know.
want to attempt it though? Um,
Yeah, I
can you
know.
handle what happens if you try? That's a scary one if you don't know what you're doing, even for those of us who do.
Mhm.
Sometimes you can't see what's behind that
Mhm.
spirit until you push it.
Yeah, it's really tough. It's not so cut and dry. I think people look at the paranormal, and because of television, or because of the stigma behind so much of it, that they think it is cut and dry. Angels, demons, grounded souls. But then you have to go outside the box. You really, like, we tease Joe about this, but you do have to look at dimensional bleed through. You do have to look at psychokinesis. You do have to
Yeah.
look at that projection of energy. People will look at psychokinesis, it's like a poltergeist thing. It's just like self-projected energy. There's so
Messy.
much more to it than just the stuff that sells on TV. And it's hard to delve in that far, because people just don't take the time to educate themselves, you know.
I'm just gonna say humming's on the spectrum. That's all I'm gonna say, Wayne.
Well, okay, it's true.
You
So
hum and I leave the room.
yeah,
Because
it's
I'm like,
true. I hum and I don't even realize I'm humming, and people just look at me. It's like, you're humming. I'm like, no, I'm not. Am I humming?
that's when you notice something's there.
But
Is that
sometimes
why you're
it's just
humming?
because I hum.
No, I leave the room and I try to clear things before anyone catches it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like,
See?
wait a minute. That did not come from this house. It's vroom, right at it. And it's
Bye-bye.
like,
I know.
be gone,
Bye-bye.
be gone.
This
This is
this
my
is
space.
this is actually a good comment. Dimensional beings are not
Yeah, you read it. You read it.
are not constrained from coming here. We're the ones bound here by lack of ability. I agree with that.
Yes. And that's why I'm saying sometimes we're not supposed to touch them or move them because we don't like human spirits in dimension. We might be looking right through a dimension, obviously, the veil, and who knows how many in, thinking this spirit's grounded and then shoving it this way and going, like, are we interfering? Now I can see their kind of side of it. I am going to say this. I don't like people who keep spirits because they want people to come and pay money to investigate. I will be totally honest with that and own it. I don't like it.
Mm,
And I've been in the Lizzie Borden house, and I can tell you I don't like it because
mhm,
when you go in there to investigate, you're not communicating with her.
mhm. Yeah, I agree. I mean, there are entities out there that are complete mimics. They're
Yeah.
very good at what they do, whether they're non-human spirits or human spirits, or sometimes even extraterrestrial. They do know how to manipulate, and I think the living are often very quick to accept, and sometimes
Yeah.
we can't be too quick to accept. We do have to think about the fact that things are not always what they seem. That's life in general. um you know so yeah.
I think so. And
Very
I
true.
never understood when a place was haunted and people would go back and run tours, and sorry. I have a really hard time with it
With
because
tours.
with haunted locations being used for tours and money, I have a really, really hard time with it. I really do.
I
Emotionally, empathically, I have the toughest time. I have to bite my tongue 100,000 times with some people.
think it depends on the location. I remember when used to do the tours of Casa Loma. That generated a lot of money for a charity, like they were a non-for-profit, and that kept that building going. But we weren't stuck, we weren't dealing with all a bunch of grounded spirits either. We
Yeah,
had spirits who were very much there in visitation.
that's a different story. I'm talking about places that are malevolently haunted.
That gets to be pretty dangerous. Like I said, I've done and led historical tours, and you get people, you provide a safe place for people to come in and have the experiences. But Any tour that I do, it's going to be like, now you realize you don't have to be here, right?
Yeah.
Like I did the castle tours every night before a group came in. I would walk in and I would talk to the, Sir Henry and say, Sir Henry, good evening. This is how many guests we're expecting this evening. He was there in visitation. You may partake, if you'd like to. You don't have to, of course. The choice is yours. It was the same at the manor. People who were filming there or would come to stay, it's like, this is what's going on. Be here if you want to be here. Don't be here if you don't want to be here. They loved it when people come to film up the house.
Yeah.
They would do incredible things. Like, why has that ever happened when we're just here by ourselves? Dropping coins from the ceiling. It's like, what is that? Never ever seen that. But it happened 2 or 3 times in one show production.
No, Queen Mary, the tours there bothered me too. It's coming from an empathic side. It's not coming from an investigative side.
Right.
With me. I'm not, I don't, look, I'm not in judgment of anyone who goes to these things or does the investigations. You do you, I have to do me kind of thing. I can't do it. Thank you, Kathy. Yeah, I can't do it. If you have me come into a location, I guarantee you that place will be clear.
So you've never done a ghost tour. You've never gone to stay at a haunted place. You've never gone to.
Not on purpose, a haunted place. No.
Lizzie Borden.
Oh, yeah. That was the only one.
Right.
And then I was told to keep my mouth shut because I was told to keep my mouth shut. But you don't pay to walk around Salem.
No, but some places.
Salem's like walking through a Hawthorne house.
Or you go to stay at a haunted place.
I didn't.
Yeah.
I stayed in a regular, you know me. I like my 5-star hotels. But I never looked for it on purpose before. Salem, I don't even think there. I went to Salem to pay my respects to the people who were hung.
Yeah.
And brought flowers. Like, that's a different kind of thing. And I didn't communicate with any of them. At the cemetery I did, but that can happen at any cemetery if you're even just visiting your family. I didn't purposely go anywhere. At the Hawthorne house, I went because I wanted to see the inside. Didn't know how damn haunted it was till I got there. I mean, I've gone to Alberfoyle Mill for business dinner and been haunted, and had those experiences, but I've never purposely gone somewhere for that. I went to Lizzie Borden's house because I wanted to see if I could communicate with her. And then I was told to stop talking because it didn't match. This is a different owner. Okay, this is 2018. So let's not jump on these people now. They're different people. I was told to stop talking because it didn't match their tour story.
Well, they're very theatrical. It's not fair to the spirits. There's a lot of places it's not fair to, the spirits. I think when you have places, I have friends who've got locations where people come in. Spirits are not grounded. The spirits are very much there in visitation. They're there because they like to be there.
The problem with Lizzie Borden is they have Ouija boards available there, and that they allow them to be used during investigations when they rented. This is again 2017. Sorry, not 2018, 27. Well, one of those. I can't remember which year I went to Salem. I mean, I go to Boston, but I don't remember which year it was for Salem. I did have, I just took photographs of her room, and I do have images that came up. And I did have a communication with her and with a few people in there. And I was able to see a lot of her life before all of this happened. And you have to remember, she's the first female. No, she's not. She's the first female to be imprisoned. And she was imprisoned for a year while this trial was happening. No, she's not there that I know of. But I can tell you there's a lot of other stuff that was there. And that was led in by investigative groups that didn't know what they were doing.
That happens more often than not, actually. People come in, you go to different locations and you investigate, and this is one of those issues I think
Yeah.
that, people need to consider,
Well, it's
is
a
that
crime
you
scene
get
too.
some malevolent things that will like to piggyback,
Yeah.
and they will piggyback from location to location.
And that was a violent crime scene. That's what people keep forgetting. You see it as a haunted house, but you're not thinking this is a crime scene. Hit with an axe and the 40 whacks. That is a passionate, angry crime scene. That
Mhm.
leaves quite an imprint. Remember that word, because it's not always happening right in front of your eyes your first
Mhm.
time. There's a lot of residual in that house.
Mhm.
Lot of residual energy. You
Mhm.
will see things moving. You'll see curtains just, kind of sway. There's no forced air. You'll see that. But when you're with the tour group, I was fortunate that he allowed me to go off on my own,
Mhm.
which they don't do that. So I was able to experience and photograph things without interference.
Mhm.
But when you have a group, you have to question who walked by the window, who was talking. You can't record anything. If somebody's got noisy shoes,
It's contaminated.
very much
It's not
so.
a controlled
No.
environment,
And I
which it
went
has to be.
I went there because it was a crime for me, it was a crime scene.
Mhm.
That's why I went there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wanted to see if I could communicate.
Right.
But
Right.
man, oh man, I walked out of there crying.
It's big business now. It's big business. People buy these locations, and instead of, well, they don't buy these locations, to lose money, right? They
They're
buy these
telling a
locations to
fake
to
story.
make money. And
Yeah.
I had one person tell me, this is probably going back about 10, 15 years ago, and there were stories that the location they owned was haunted. There was nothing definitive. Never really felt much there. And he just said, "Oh, well, after a few investigations," and he goes, "If it's not now, it will be." And I thought that was a really interesting comment.
Mhm.
I'm like, "Well, what are you going to import them?" Like, you know, and, I'm joking around, like, "What do you plan on importing a few?" And, oh no, it became very haunted because a lot of um, different, people coming in with their own attachments. You go into some places, you investigate. If you're not properly grounding yourself or you're not aware, you might just be a victim of circumstance, and you end
Yeah.
up with an attachment that just passes around. And
Well,
it's
yeah.
just a whole, it's
You
a
have
whole other thing.
Massachusetts, the state of Massachusetts is haunted. I mean, the whole state is haunted.
Hmm.
But the hotel I stayed at was a boutique hotel, but it was attached to a hotel that's notoriously haunted and
Hmm.
has been on all of the paranormal shows.
Hmm.
And I could feel it every time I had to walk by it to get my coffee, like to go around it to get to Starbucks. Kind of
Right.
sorry, Folgers, at the time it was
Right.
Starbucks. If you guys had a drive through, I'd be doing the drive through. But like to go get coffee and breakfast kind of thing. And but still happen because there are no walls with spirits. But I would tell you that you'd be hard pressed to find a location that's not haunted in Boston, Massachusetts,
Many
Maine,
places like that in
or
the world.
yeah,
I mean,
you'd be hard pressed to find any place that isn't haunted.
there's a
And
whole other world out there that exists. I think that the living really don't think about. I've
no,
traveled many parts of the world, and I've had some phenomenal experiences.
yeah,
But for
and you can
me,
have
I
them at home.
choose to be in those environments. That's what I enjoy when I go places. I have moved quite a few spirits on, but even when I had my experience in Egypt, I was considerably younger,
Hmm.
and it never occurred to me when I saw the spirit man in the pyramid. It was just kind of like, oh hey, I'm trying to explain to him that he's dead, and then the best I get was, "You're dead." Okay.
Oh
I'm dead.
yeah, the
It's
pyramid.
me. Bye.
Yeah, that's creepy. That's creepy AF.
But how do we know it's not like that really?
I think you find that a lot with spirits in hospitals too. They're like, I'm not dead. You are.
Yeah.
Why are you walking around? Why are we outside? And it's like, no, you're outside.
Yeah.
But just one more touch on Massachusetts before we go. Before we end that, I told you about the Naval Museum, which I knew nothing about.
Mhm.
We had stopped in Fall River, and we stopped to take a walk by the water because we were waiting for the boarding house to open. So we had an hour. We were there early, and we had an hour because we drove from Boston out there. And here I am just videotaping this Naval Museum, and I've got voices coming out
Mhm.
and experiences happening there that were
Mhm.
validated after, on the internet.
Right.
Like
Right.
it can happen anywhere. Most of my experiences that happened have been all around home.
Mhm.
I've
Right.
seen that question, why does so much happen, haunted places happen in the north? I think it's just older.
In the north.
Wars. Yeah.
I have to disagree just from my personal experiences. That's all I got to go on is my experiences. I can't account for everybody else's experiences. It's like I said, I have experience, like I've traveled many different parts of the world, north and south, and have had up-teen amounts of experiences north or south.
I think guardian means north of the states.
I again,
I
north,
don't
I don't
know.
know
Yeah.
necessarily north of the States, but I can tell you there is a theory that I remember having a pretty in-depth discussion on more than one occasion about cold weather. And because there's a lot of static in the air when it's really cold and dry, there's a belief that because it's a type of energy that spirits who are also energy, because we are energy, are able to move around a little bit more freely. That's again hypothesis, but it's something that researchers have bounced around because I've had like probably 2 or 3 discussions with different researchers about this, and it's fascinating. So there are people who actually are concentrating on this sort of research as well. Um, and then the question: how much faith do you have in ghost apps? Um, I don't know because everything's computerized. Like, phones are mini computers now. I think it depends on the app. I think a lot of them are built for entertainment. I've seen some that are left me kind of going, well, shit, that's pretty interesting. Would I try it again? Sure. There's some that I would definitely try.
That's not in your own.
Um, yeah. And there's some that's just like, there's some real popular ones, and they're just like, oh, it picked up everything about this location. But a lot of these are built in to work with your phone's GPS, or they have their own built-in GPS. So of course they're going to have information about that area. So you really have to do your research on the app itself. Now
Mhm.
with technology, they're coming out with phenomenal things. You don't. I hate to be stereotypical or label everything like as a big no. It's like orbs.
Yeah.
Some people like orbs, and there's a lot of researchers who just research and work with orbs. And orbs can
Great
be
way.
scientific standpoint, if you're looking at it that way, dust, pollen, moisture, pet dander, there are all kinds of things that
Flies.
can cause a lot of
Yes.
things can cause orbs. Are there
Yeah.
true spirit orbs? Yeah, I believe there are true spirit
Mhm.
orbs because
Of course.
I've experienced them. I've seen them with the naked eye. I have seen them in controlled environments. I mean, I remember our camera at the manor picked up all kinds of things, and nobody had been in the house for 4 months. No forced air. It was a boiler system. Nobody walking around to stir up dust from the carpet. The one carpet in the room. No
Yeah.
windows open. It was the middle of winter. No bugs. This is Jimmy. This was
You're
January.
ticking off all the boxes of no, 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 and that's
Yeah.
you
So we're
have to
sort
do
of
that.
like, yeah, process of elimination. So
Yes.
you know, so I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence with a lot of this sort of stuff.
One thing I can tell you I will never do is tell someone it's not an orb,
Yeah.
because that's a great way to start a fight and never speak to someone again.
Yeah.
Orbs can be such a controversial discussion. You can end up not speaking to other investigators. It's very touchy. It's like politics and religion. You don't touch on it if you want to stay friends, kind
There's
of
some
thing.
things you
Orbs is
can't.
a
Yes.
touchy topic.
Yeah. But see,
Um,
I like this too. ETs can come as orbs.
that's
Um,
right.
I mean, there's been a lot of orbs spotted with some crafts in and around some crafts. Bigfoot. There are really diehard, serious Bigfoot researchers who say they could see orbs in and around where they've had or been listening to Bigfoot or had a Bigfoot sighting. So I believe there's something to it. There's balls of energy, aside from swamp gas. I mean, they're balls of energy that have been seen by people throughout a millennia. I mean, even some sailors would be sailing the seas way back in the 1400s, and I think Christopher Columbus actually had made a note of seeing an orb, floating over the water, and then seeing a craft. So, there's a lot of different theories about that. We can't discount all of it. But because of technology and because of just things like dust, pollen, moisture, pet dander, you have to take into account that, especially with the camera lens being very sophisticated and being able to magnify and do some pretty incredible things, that we have to really look at everything, right?
Hmm.
So
It's
ongoing
crazy.
process, yeah.
Yeah.
um, yep. Yeah, close to the sun in the northern hemisphere during the winter, and that's a lot of energy. Agreed. Tamara.
Oh, sometimes going old school investigation gives better results because they cannot be contaminated. Example, baby powder and a trigger object.
Yep.
I like that, and I like the bell on the doors and
Yeah, I love that
the
stuff.
lights that the lights that you have outside your home where if something walks by it lights up. Those are great for inside. I
Mhm.
don't do investigations. I'm just speaking of what I've seen and heard. I think those are the ones that you hear are the best and the most
Mhm.
credible.
Right. Right. I agree. It's
Yeah.
fascinating stuff for sure. Wayne.
Ah, yes. We were at a beautiful Victorian home in Jamestown, New York, and after many hours being there, nothing significant happened. But on one photo, there was a single orb. In that orb was a clear male face. Those are fabulous, aren't they? You can't dispute that.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's something that you can't dispute. I think we have a lot of conversations about orbs since new moms have had baby monitors with cameras,
Mhm.
and they're not taking in consideration all the cotton that is in that room
Mhm.
and the forced air and where the location of that camera is, because
Mhm.
those are the ones that you will be arguing with if you tell them.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be pretty crazy. Um,
Yeah.
Want to get this one?
Sure. Central Wisconsin. Hello. I get orbs in various videos I shoot. You can't see them with the naked eye, but you see them in playback, and their movement seems intentional. Those are fascinating.
They are fascinating.
Yeah.
I've seen orbs with the naked eye at times as well, which gives me faith that there definitely is something to it.
Yeah.
The manor used to have, our last home used to have all kinds of different things. People would capture photographs when they filmed. We would just see these crazy orbs
We had a
coming
lot.
out of the
Yeah.
ceiling, out of the lights, and
Mhm.
and and two by two, traveling in unison, going right into a mirror, or coming across the room and just floating by. Again, you're sitting there in January, no forced air. The house is locked up for 4 months. Nobody was in there. And you see orbs coming from one room to the other room. And when you take a screenshot of what the security cameras caught, there's a clear face. Just
They're
like
amazing.
of a woman with her hair up. Just unbelievable.
So beautiful.
It is. It's just
Yeah.
fascinating.
Those
Just
are
fascinating.
beautiful. But when you see things going like this
Oh,
and then
all
up,
kinds of crazy things. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm saying in the baby monitors, it's usually dust. There's a lot of cotton in a baby's room,
Mhm.
natural fibers.
Right.
So
Right.
I know everybody wants to be able to see if they've had a past loved one come visit the baby. And I'm sure some of those are, but they're not all of them. Those and camping ones I can't look at. I always say
Right.
I have no clue
Right.
because that's a lot of light reflection
Right.
off of droplets and moisture. And that's a
Yeah.
lot. So that's a tough one. You would have to singularly investigate each and every little dot in that thing and
Right.
zoom in and zoom out. But if you feel good and it's a good experience, don't let anyone take that from you. Maybe it is a visitation.
Mhm.
I don't know. That's
Yeah.
gosh. I don't want to hurt anybody.
Station ID time.
Yeah, can't hurt anyone there except like yesterday. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
let's see if I can talk today.
Mhm.
Seriously, this week has really drained me.
Well,
I just and the weather's not helping here. It's raining and it's really mild. This is
mhm.
not normal December weather for us. So
Mm.
so tonight, what a conversation. You are listening to The Outer Realm with Michelle Desrochers and Amelia Pisano, coming to you live from the beautiful city of New Orleans on 105.3 and 107.7 FM radio, as well as the Roku channel. Tonight, our guest is our audience. It's live open mic night, last one of the year, in celebration of our 400th episode yesterday. Today is our 401st episode.
Mhm.
Thank you all for being here with us and making it possible. If you're just tuning in, don't worry. You can stream us on archives on any platform that you normally use. Simply search United Public Radio and then The Outer Realm. Remember to click like and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Hit that notification button. And don't forget to share us with your friends and family. Now, the reason why it's all possible? It's the great people at Folgers Coffee. Thank you so much for your continued support in sponsoring our show and helping us hit this milestone. We deeply appreciate you and we thank you so very much. We love that we know you tune in and we're thinking about you all the time. Give us a little hello if you can hit a chat room. It would be nice to talk to you. For our fabulous banner and promo media, huge thank you to Steve McGinnis. He's a horror illustrator. He's a fantastic artist, not only in horror, but he also creates commission pieces, and he can be found on Facebook and Instagram. Check him out. Not now, after the show. If you love our intro, that's a huge thank you to Dr. Snick, the sonic surgeon, Justin Snicker, award-winning composer, vocalist, and musician. You can find his music on Amazon and Bandcamp and stream him on any platform that you use. You can also find Dr. Snick on Facebook and Instagram. And in your stories, when you're creating your stories, his music is listed there in the drop menu as well. Now, if you're watching us on Facebook Live on any one of those, I believe there's 8 pages out there, make sure to hit like, especially on the Outer Realm group page. And don't forget to subscribe if you're on YouTube and give us a like and share us with your friends and family. And hopefully the next time I come back, I won't be so tired. It's just a long week.
It's been a little bit crazy, but
Yeah.
it's
Holidays.
we're heading towards the end, the end of the year, and it's just a lot of people over the holidays. I think they're just busy to start with, so you're getting a lot of different mixed energy all over the place. You're in close quarters with people. You're frequenting shopping malls and
No.
a lot of family and people maybe sitting there with colds and and it's running you down. And I know I just avoid everybody.
Me too. I think I just feel
I'm healthy. I
really
want to stay
heavy.
that way.
I feel very heavy and I do ground, but I don't feel like I'm grounding enough. And that could be it as well. And I have a lot on my mind, but yeah, it's really draining and I'm feeling spacey and I'm wondering if Mercury retrograde, please Mercury retrograde be it, not that I'm
Take it
spacey.
easy.
Yeah, like I'm wondering if that's what it is. I'm having trouble focusing, speaking. My anxiety is all over the place. And I think it could just be exposure to too many people in a short period of
That could
time,
be.
even though it's family.
It
It's
could
not
be. The
it's not
holidays
something I do.
are tiring to start with, long of extra hours. I think we've had somebody on talking about astrology. She was really, really good. And she did include a lot of numerology in there as well.
And
So,
that young man
yeah,
that we had.
but specifically
They
about numerology, I'd have to look back in the Wayback Machine.
The
And if
Wayback
not,
Machine that did the symbols. I think he touched on it.
symbols, but numerology with respects to numbers, just numbers. So
I think we have.
I have to go back and see. If not, I mean, we're always willing to, to
Be
explore
interesting. Yeah.
different things. Yeah. So, guys, you have people you'd like to see. All you can do is reach out to us and we can try. We have a long list of people who reach out to us on their own behalf and, wanting to come on, different authors and researchers from all different walks of life. Like I said, we've got some really phenomenal people coming up just that are booked in the next couple of months. Like we have people coming on talking crystal skulls. We've got people coming on and talking about disclosure, being a contactee. We've got oh my God, we've got some great ones again. Leslie Mitchell Clark's coming back on to talk about the
Yes.
different ET races, and she does hypnosis with experiencers and such. So there's I'm really looking forward to a lot of these guests, and I'm in communication with really good potential guests right now as well. So definitely exciting.
I remember when that hit really big.
Numerology.
Yeah,
Yeah.
over 20 years ago. Like it just came out of nowhere and kept going. I have books on that with palmistry and feng shui. It was all big at the same time. It was looked at as trendy, but it stayed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
palmistry is a different thing for me because I always find I have all the I don't know if it's age, but I have all the lines of everything they're looking for a witch. But
oh yeah, I've
I
got the
don't
double
practice.
M's, with
I
the
don't.
long.
Yes, the double
Yeah,
M's,
I've
the
got the double
X's, the
M's.
lines. I got all of those, but
Yeah.
I'm not a witch. I don't practice. I wish
We
I
have.
knew how to do spells.
Yeah, we've had a couple of people on about
Yeah.
past life regressions, and happy
Birthday.
to reach out again and bring them on. Been on a couple of times, but it's been
He's
a couple of
doing really
years.
well. I think he has a book out because I
Yeah.
accidentally emailed him, and he
Yeah.
emailed me back and said, "Amelia, you emailed me by accident. How are you?" And
Yeah.
he's doing very well. He's an incredible
Yeah.
person.
So we could bring him back. I think it would be fascinating to see what he's been up to and talk deeper into past life regressions. I'd love to just get in really
Not a straight guy. Not a straight guy.
naturals and
My mother
Yeah.
had me tested.
But yeah, so just put your ideas in, email them to us. Here, I'm going to put up our email address, which is the contact for the show. Let me just hold on.
And Folgers, if you want to send me coffee.
Let me try to take the ticker off here. 1 second.
That's
Scroll
what I
across
should have
that.
had.
Let's just put this up like this, so it's not scrolling, so you can actually
I love
see
how
it.
big that is.
So you could always email us some ideas. Even if you want to just get into talking about things for our next open mic. So here's a little secret. Okay, mark your calendars for January the 11th. That will be the next open mic. Then it will be February 28th. So now we're letting the cat out of the bag when the next two open mic nights are going to be. So if there's certain theme that you guys would like to go with, or questions that you have, those are going to be the next ones, and Amelia and I can jam it out with you guys and do exactly what we're doing right now.
And I won't be as tired, honest to God.
Ah,
Have an IV coffee instead from Folgers. That would be fantastic.
do a commercial for us, Alex. You know,
Yes.
we play the commercials, guys. If you send us like something that's, like roughly 30 to 40 seconds, as
Yeah.
long as it mentions, Folgers, you guys would get really creative and do a little commercial.
You have to
And
show it too.
we've had paranormal groups do it. We've had some of our guests do it, and it stays there in our archives forever. It's like really, really great advertising, and we love Folgers, so we love to see your creativity in what you send us.
Yeah, and I could have used that Folgers black silk right now. I've been going. I woke up tired. Like, it's just crazy. I'm tired of saying I'm tired.
God, I could use one right now. Let me tell you.
Oh yeah, I have Folgers Mountain Blend. I have the black silk. I even use the instant for baking cookies, cakes, anywhere where you put cocoa. You can put just wet it a little bit. Like add a little bit of water, not make it soupy, but add a little bit of water so that you can get it in a batter. But it gives such amazing depth to anything with chocolate.
There we go.
So yeah, it's not just for drinking. Folgers instant
February
coffee is
28th.
amazing in baking.
Sorry, January 11th and February 28th.
28th.
Yeah. February, yeah. Unfortunately, it's not very often where we can give you 2 in 1 month. It happens, but not often.
No.
So, yes, mark the calendars for that. But of course, we want you to mark your calendars for all the shows, which is why you can set reminders on the YouTube page because this way when something we try to post upcoming shows at least 5 days in advance to give people a heads up and come on in to the chat. We know a lot of the chat disappears once the show has ended, so I'm going to have to go into YouTube and click it on so all of the chat remains, so this way you can still comment on other people's comments and maybe get a dialogue going.
Kindly.
Huh?
Here's kindly.
Kindly, I know.
Here's a good one. Since we're heading into the new year. Okay. I'll talk about in my culture, with the Italians, they do the olive oil in the water malocchio, which is to remove anything negative. And if you're teaching someone, it has to be on midnight on Christmas Eve. It has something to do with the Catholicism, which is so funny and the protection, because you're doing something that's so totally against the church. But anyways, we won't go into that. But that whole malocchio thing with the olive oil in the water in a clean white bowl is a practice that they use to sweep out the old and bring in the new on New Year's. Do you have any traditions or any things that could be considered witchcraft? It probably was years and years ago. It probably was considered witchcraft, right? Because it's almost like a spell. Wow, I'm really burying my family today. But anyways, okay, and Tamara says, I have cleared my house for year end. Do you smudge your house? What are your ways of bringing in the new year? You'll see a lot of Europeans, and Italy does this as well, where they go out at midnight and they bang pots and pans, and that's to scare away all the negativity. So only the good and positivity can come in. I know the Chinese culture has their ways too, with dragons and the different communications and dances that they do to eliminate evil spirits. I'm curious.
Solstices, that's what it was about. You would clean your house, you would sweep it all up, you would burn that dust from your house, and you would throw that out, and that would come in, from the hearth. You would take everything out, and then you have that bonfire, and you would keep a flame from the bonfire, come back and light your hearth with it, and that would keep everything cleansed and renewed.
That's
So
also why the Befana had a broom. She wasn't flying on it, but the Italians did that after. Have you been excommunicated yet,
she's
Amelia?
working on it, Alex.
From one church, but we have a new priest, so I'm looking forward to meeting him. My great grandmother was. My great grandmother was. That's in my bio if you've ever been on my website. But yeah, my great grandmother was, and it was all because she was holistic healer. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Knock on wood. Oh, I
Yeah.
like that one. Okay.
Yeah.
Got that.
Argon. I use argon. I absolutely do.
What's argon? Orgon?
It completely cleanses everything, and it's even great for EMF. It's great for all kinds of stuff. I got came from Russia. It's amazing.
Is it like incense or
No, it's a stone.
a stone?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I never heard of it.
I'll
Oh,
send you
cool.
one. Maybe if
Aw.
you're a good bubbly, you'll get one in the mail.
Oh, wow.
I know. And
I'm so
iron,
excited.
old
I know I'm getting
iron. See,
iron.
the
Yeah, I'm
ancients
waiting
used
for
to
that
use
meal.
iron, and they used to put it,
Yeah.
over doors and things like that.
Cinnamon too. Cinnamon sticks on your
Cinnamon. Yep.
windowsills.
Yep.
Tamara
Iron
says,
horseshoes. That's why you would see iron horseshoes and stuff.
yeah, and never always right side up, never upside down, because you don't want to let everything out. You want it all to
Right.
collect.
That's right. And that's why, that's right.
Yeah,
See, there's
very
all kinds
cool.
of little tidbits of information that you could do. I think that, it's important out with the old, in with the new. However you go about doing that, it's all about taking out all of that old energy, cleansing it, bringing in fresh energy.
Yeah.
Open the windows.
Your
Even if it's a little
fireplace.
bit cold out, just
Clean the ashes out of your
freshen
fireplace.
everything.
Yeah.
Yes, everything. Remove everything, and then
Yeah.
just start fresh again.
Cool.
Right?
See, I'm just curious how other cultures do things, or not even just a culture thing, just something you're comfortable with doing. Do people say, like, if you're a regular, I hate the smell of sage. It's not that I'm opposed to using it. I just can't stand the smell of it.
Right.
It's here next to me. And another thing that blocks me is Himalayan salt lamps, which for other people work wonders.
Well,
And
then
for
you
me,
got
they
to cleanse it because it doesn't. It's a natural ionizer.
Yeah,
Of
I don't
course,
like
it
them.
works.
Yeah, I don't like them.
But then you're bunging it up.
They bother me
Clear
because
it.
I feel like I have to fight against that frequency to get to the frequency
That's
I need to read.
crazy.
I know, I don't know why. And my daughter has it in her room, but I don't, I can't have it wherever I'm doing a read, or if we're doing a case. I cannot have that around me. It
Right.
interferes.
You're too funny. I've got in every room in the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
This is also good.
Yeah, write down everything you want to change and burn the letter.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, long cleansing shower. Yes. Yes. What do you recommend someone do for the new year to start anew? I thought we just covered. Are you doing this just to upset me, Al?
Cleansing, just out with the old, in with the new. Just take everything out of your space, cleanse it, and
Purge.
like Amelia was saying, just get rid of ashes from the fireplace. Just get rid of.
But even stuff in your if something's an eyesore to you, like your closet is full, things like that they'll weigh on you, and you don't even realize that. Things out of place, they weigh on me. I don't know if like, I hate eyesores and things like that. Things have to be in their place.
Right.
I think that's a good way to start.
Mm-hmm.
Set
your calendars for the outer realm twice a week. Come and just listen to Bubbles and I. Just have a good time. I mean, come on. The show is like so laid back. Everybody has such a good time. Our guests, 99% of the time will message back and say, I had such a great time on the show with you guys. I mean, that's why we have so many people come back, because they have so much information. They're like, oh, I could have talked about this. I'm like, well, why don't you come on and talk about this? They really have a good time with us. We have a good time with them. And our listeners, I mean, you guys in chat have a really great time, Okay, that's very funny.
toss
toss
everything
everything out.
out.
Except for me, I don't toss everything out because my furniture weighs about 500 pounds and it's
No,
not so
her stuff is
easy.
antique. She just has to clear it herself. Yeah, I agree with if you don't use something or wear it, get rid of it to make space for newer. How about just make space? Why do you have to put something
Build
else
some
there?
space.
Yeah.
Yeah, make space. Keep it.
Yeah,
Burn it.
and earlier, I can't remember who said about burning some, I think it was Sun Dragon who said, the sage is too powerful for her, I guess it bothers her as
Yeah,
well.
there we go.
And she uses sandalwood. You have to use what works for you. I use Palo Santo, so I know how you
Mhm,
feel, and I put it on a charcoal burner and incense burner, and I
mhm.
use that. And I like the incense that they use at funeral masses. I know that sounds morbid, but I love the smells of them. Like I
That's
could stay.
frankincense.
Yeah, I love frankincense and I have
Try
it.
the frankincense resin. Resin burns so much cleaner if you put resin on the charcoal. It's really nice.
That's
And
what
you can
I
get
have.
resin with everything.
That's what I have, the resin,
And
the
we have a good
frankincense
time on
resin.
your show too, Alex.
We do. Yeah,
We do.
we have
I know.
fun.
Uh,
Yeah.
that's oh, Wayne.
Space,
Space.
you say? What is this
Mythical
biblical
word.
word of which you speak?
Okay,
None's like
well,
space.
nobody really asked you about that, so
Yeah. Well, there's lots of space. They're called storage units.
we have 4. Big
You know
furniture,
you
I'm
know
just
what I
saying.
say coming from someone who has a very large kitchen? The more space you have, the more stuff you stuff it with.
Mhm, yep,
And I'm going to purge my kitchen, which I do once a year.
there we go.
Sometimes you get gifts or you get things, people know I cook and they'll buy me certain things and I'm just like overloaded with them.
I know. And
Thanks for the
you
compliment.
know
I
what?
am not a
We are
she.
we are
Oh,
coming
sorry, son.
we are coming up totally to, um, the top of the hour, and I really hope you guys have a terrific New Year. I mean, New Year's Eve is on Sunday, and I really hope that just stay safe, but have a lot of fun.
And rest.
It's already getting crazy on the roads of people traveling through the long weekend. I had to be on the roads today, and I thought, oh my God, it's starting already. So
Mhm.
I guess there's going to be a lot of festivities going on all over the place. And it really is a time of renewal where we're given an opportunity to, start fresh again. Be kind. We live in an age where everybody wants to text, where everybody is emailing. There's not a lot of phone conversations. You cannot get emotion or feeling out of a message. And I've
Mm.
had to deal with somebody recently who, you miss half the conversation and you go right to something that you can either deflect on, finger point on, and not really get the gist of, oh wait, there's some good stuff in there as well.
The text
So
is, yeah, a great way to
just
ruin a relationship.
yeah, just be
Yeah.
kind. And I just see so much, like, people are supposed to be happy around Christmas. Oh my God, the angst that I have seen this year, just
It's
let
still
it go.
here from the last 4
Yeah.
years, and I think that's
um,
something that we need to like you said, we need to excuse me, to release that
yeah.
and start fresh and
Yeah.
kind and
Yeah.
grateful.
Be kind.
Be
Be
grateful.
kind.
A lot of people are not
Let's
going into
go back and,
2024
watch last night's show if you've missed it, and really talk about, like, frequency, raising your vibrations, because I know that right now, you know, hopefully next time we'll be able to talk a lot more about consciousness, as we really didn't get to touch on it. But, you know, there's memes all over the place. You've heard us talk about it. You can't control what's going out there. People are easily offended. People are having rough goes of it. You can't put
I
yourself in someone else's shoes, but you should
know.
try sometime. But in the end, your reaction is how that's the one thing you can control, is
You
your reaction. So maybe let's, like, all kind of make a resolution and just try to start the year off on a good note and really just try to put it out peacefully and calm, because nobody out there is worth, upsetting your energy. Just
No.
onto it. Don't let them rent space in your head. Keep smiling, and don't
You know,
fall into it.
it's the biggest.
Rewind. Yes.
Yes, be kind and rewind. You know what the biggest thing
You too,
I
Jay.
feel with everyone? They're not listening to you. They're listening to respond. They're not listening to you, and that's why there's so much, tension amongst people.
Yeah.
Stop and really listen when someone's speaking to you.
Yeah.
You could be the last person they're reaching out to, especially at this time of year. So please really listen to
Right.
those that you love. Wait your turn to talk. No one's going
And
anywhere.
don't listen to the other ones just spewing off. It's just like, enough. Sometimes silence is golden, and sometimes the silent treatment is really, the best thing you can do for somebody. It just, don't feed the drama. It's not worth it. Don't do it. You
No,
will be happier. You will be more at peace, and your energy will thank you for it. And everybody else around you will thank you for it. So, we love you all. We thank you all for your continued support. So, on behalf of Amelia, myself, the Outer Realm, of course, United Public Radio, UFO Paranormal Radio, Joe Montaldo, whom we happily represent, Happy New Year to all of you. We will see you in 2024 with a phenomenal guest, Julie Bassett, pet medium. And her write up, real quick, is as follows. She's an animal communicator, pet medium, energy healing practitioner. She's also a shamanic practitioner, and her passion and her service to humanity is to help resolve physical, emotional, behavioral issues within their companion animals. She's lovely. Definitely, we're going to really have a great time with her.
perfect way to start the year.
And Thursday night, we bring back Ryan Peterson, a biblical researcher and writer with an emphasis in ancient Hebrew, thought, and theology. I love theologians. They're just right on it. He's going to be discussing his newest book, The Final Nephilim, which goes back from Genesis to Revelation, providing a study on end times prophecy and the rise of the prophesied seed of the serpent and the Antichrist. You got calm and you got upheaval. You got it all in one
Balance.
place.
I call that balance.
Balance. Exactly.
There's a new word for 2024. Balance.
I love it. All right, guys. Good night. Happy New Year. We'll see you next year.